We are the hub for news, results, and CEO interviews focusing the junior commodities sector. We provide market analysis and perspective that will help position you for solid returns.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Stock Talk. It's wonderful to catch up with the CEO and director of First Phosphate, John Passalacqua. And boy, have you had a busy year this year, accomplishing many milestones ahead of time. And just yesterday, great news, PEA came out. Got a lot of questions, a lot of things to catch up on. But I can tell you right off the bat, we're very impressed with the amount of work that's being done in such a short period of time with such an ambitious, vertically integrated model of business to focus on this LFP future, this electric future. Let's just dive into this PEA, John. Tell me a little bit about the highlights from the PEA announcement yesterday.
Yeah, so the PEA obviously it's a big milestone for any mining company. It's when you first, after you've identified it, you've done some drilling, identified a resource, and it's all about, does that resource, could it be able to produce, the ore, and then the final product in an economic fashion, right? So the PEA that came out yesterday was very positive. It shows that, that there'll be, sustained profitability at the mine. It could produce, 3 different recoveries. The first one, and almost 80% being apatite, which is the host mineral for phosphate, which is, obviously our primary target, and then some great bonus recoveries of ilmenite and also magnetite, that's titanium and iron that, come out in the process of making the apatite. If you saw in our pilot plant, which we also announced a few months back, the great thing is that the ilmenite and the magnetite have to be taken out first before you can get to the magnetite, to the apatite. So it's, almost bonus recoveries, bonus commodities, and it just brings down the whole cost of the operations substantially. What we've proven out is that, you can have a smaller phosphate mine that, it's less impact on the environment, it's less CapEx, it's closer into infrastructure on a decent model. So we're very excited by that. We've been able to prove out what we wanted, because for making purified phosphoric acid for the LFP battery, you don't need a monster mega mine. You just need very high purity, high quality phosphate material, that comes in such a way where it's, environmentally manageable. Like there's low sulfides at the mine. There's very, very, very low heavy metals, arsenic, cadmium, uranium, thorium, almost non-existent, no mercury. So what that means is that, we can make a lot of purified phosphoric acid. And when we recycle the gypsum that comes out of making that purified phosphoric acid, all of that can be treated as plaster and can go into, treated as plaster or wallboard and can go into the construction industry. So we have fully circular economy, which is very important for the battery industry. So the PEA, ties in together a lot of the things we've done, a lot of the metallurgy, a lot of the work with Queen's University to define the ESG aspects around the deposit, around the resource, should I say. And also, it ties in the work that the engineering group has done at P&E Engineering to look at the economics of the mine. So we're very, very happy with the results.
Yeah, and it's such an important step for banks, for investment banks and whatnot to look at to see the project as a rate of return. I think the overall economic demand and need is so eminent because we've got like Volkswagen, we've got Ford building battery plants, Ford just south of the border in Michigan, and of course Volkswagen in Ontario, and these are LFP batteries that are being made to have a stable in a stable country, but supply of the necessary materials to make these batteries so close would be ideal. And I'm not saying that those deals are done by any stretch of the imagination, but if someone was to look at this holistically and think, well, that makes sense. I mean, if you could have it done here, processed here, shipped over here, it would be the most economic, common sense, environmentally friendly way of doing things. That's the overall bigger picture. But one thing I wanted to mention too before I lose my train of thought was what's so unique is the type of property that you have. Like finding that this high grade isn't it's very rare. And that's what makes this project and this area so unique. It seems like many of these things are really coming together very well.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, Andrew. So when you look at the world of phosphate, about 95% of the world's phosphate is sedimentary deposit, and that's laden with cadmium, uranium, thorium, and a whole host of heavy metals. And that's good enough for making fertilizer grade phosphoric acid. But when you need to move to purified phosphoric acid for battery, and you need to make a lot of it, igneous rock is clearly the solution. And you know, the igneous rock that we have in Quebec, you know, is the purest that we found in the world. If you look at the results of our mineralogy and our metallurgy, it clearly establishes that we get to a phosphate concentrate of almost 41%, where the, you know, theoretical purity is 42%. That's an igneous anorthosite. Some of the carbonatites that you find in, which are also igneous rock in Russian, so they get up to about 36, 37%. And then when you go down to sedimentary world, you get down to about, you know, anywhere between, you know, 25 to maximum 32, sometimes 33, 34%. So, you know, we're sitting at a very, you know, the highest purity of input feedstock that you can find anywhere in the world. And that's extremely important because, you know, 90% of that can be converted up into purified phosphoric acid.
And the mine life itself will have just over 14 years. That's what you're kind of anticipating from the PAIC. And it's a very healthy internal rate of return as well. So you must, I mean, you must be thrilled with getting that out. And also, once again, the speed at which you've been able to do things in the past, not entirely full of year yet, is mind-boggling. Actually, it's pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's great. We got this PEA together about, you know, 5 months ahead of anticipated. You know, we got great internal team, great team at P&E Engineering that put it together for us. And, you know, I'd just like to remind everybody, this is just the beginning, right? We also have, you know, a number of other phosphate claims at Beja and La Marche, which are even closer to the deep sea port. I mean, the fact that we've proven out economics here on, you know, what is one of our, you know, our flagship property at 140 kilometers from the port. Our other properties are even much closer to the port. So, I mean, this is just a base case for the economics and a base case for us to understand, you know, how all of our properties will intermesh together.
Now, before I jump into, I mean, people want to kind of go over the concentration plant, this pilot plant that you have. But before we do that, there's a step that was announced just back a week ago itself, or 10 days ago, which was this deal that you've got with Norfolco. So to secure supply of sulfuric acid, maybe kind of walk us through in a very, you know, rough kind of way, why that's so critical and important too.
Yeah, so what's really important about this is when you're making purified phosphoric acid, you require, you know, concentrated phosphate rock, and that's what would come from the mine. And then that gets shipped to the port of Saguenay. You know, at La Colorina, it's about 140 kilometers driving distance from the port. So once at the port, that's where you know, part of it will be shipped out to our offtake partner, which is Prayon in Belgium. But we also have the view and the partnership with Prayon to eventually establish a purified phosphoric acid plant at the port of Saguenay. So at that point, you have to make purified phosphoric acid. To make purified phosphoric acid, what's really interesting is you need phosphate rock, but you also need sulfuric acid. And what's really fascinating is that you need 1.2 times the amount of sulfuric acid to phosphate rock. So you need more sulfuric acid than you do beneficiated phosphate rock to make purified phosphoric acid. And you think about that and you're like, wow, that's, you know, that's a lot of material. That's a lot of sulfuric acid that has to come in. If you don't take that into account from the very beginning steps of the project, and you don't go with a world leader like Norfolco, which is it's a Glencore subsidiary that, you know, is the largest producer of sulfuric acid in North America, you know, you can have real problems. So they're coming in early as an MOU partner. There's obviously great economic benefits for them on it, but the benefits for us is that, you know, they almost act as a consultant in the beginning to help us make sure we're setting up the facility properly in the beginning for sulfuric acid. You know, how much that sulfuric acid will be produced locally on site, how much of it will be imported, and then what you do when, you know, when there's, you know, supply chain issues, how can they support us? So, you know, dealing with the biggest producer in North America, I mean, that's where you want to start, because you're investing a lot into a mine, into a purified phosphoric acid plant, and it all has to work just properly. And also, you know, some of the partners that we're bringing on board, which are world-class, starting with Prayon, we can only match that up with other world-class partners. And that's why we're brought in Norfolco Glencore into this as well.
And it is attracting like such world-class partners is a big deal. And we try to avoid talks about what a stock price is doing, because especially when you're a company that's focused on building a business, like if you're just playing resource, like we're just going to try to find a resource and sell it to someone, that's fine. You could talk more about stock, but for us, it's always, is management meeting the expectations, doing what they're going to say they're going to do, doing it on time. We're thrilled because we believe in this project and the management. There's no doubt about it. Having done so much so quickly, I mean, I have to say it is very rare, and it isn't just kind of blowing smoke. It is to get the amount of work that you guys have done in your plan and moved ahead, and you are, you know, a little bit ahead of schedule as well. It just shows that sometimes the market isn't aware, isn't in line. We are in a very tough market, that being said, but it just seems like you're hitting all the things that you're supposed to do on your side. We know that the drive and the push for electric cars is there, and the appetite is there, and there's big plants going in. What are some of the steps, you know, between now and say Christmas, that people should be watching for you guys to see, okay, what's next? We've got the PA, we've got some of the economic numbers. We see you guys have got the pilot plants. What's next for First Phosphate?
Yeah, okay, sure. You know, first off, thank you very much for, you know, acknowledging how hard the management and the company's working. We've got a great team, and, you know, we're out to build a business. We've been out since day one to build a very strong business. Yes, the capital markets, you know, are difficult. They're not cooperating with any of the companies right now, but, you know, in spite of that, we believe that a business needs to be built. And so you build that in spite of anything else going on in the capital markets. And eventually things turn and people realize who are the builders, right? So we want to be recognized as the builders once the, you know, the skittishness of the market goes away and returns, and people are looking for good assets. Number one. Number two, between now and Christmas time. So, you know, if you look at our milestones, we've already completed ahead of time our pilot plant, which was scheduled for Q4, our PEA, which was scheduled for Q4. You know, economics in the PEA are there. Pilot plant shows that we can achieve over 91% recovery and almost 41% pure appetite. But what was really important in the pilot plant was that we sent a 900 kilogram sample to Prayon to process into virgin grade phosphoric acid and then into purified phosphoric acid. And that should, you know, solidify, you know, the exact specs around the product, and does it meet, you know, world-class requirements of somebody like Prayon. We're pretty sure that it does go there, but those results will be out sometime in Q4. I'm sort of at the mercy of what's going on over there at Prayon in terms of, you know, the testing and the evaluating. We're in a queue, so you know, we should see, you know, very favorable results on our purified phosphoric acid at that point, what we can produce, obviously, in, you know, at lab scale. And then that purified phosphoric acid will be going out to some of the partners that have already requested it, who will be using it to make some LFP cathode active material. So that'll be great. We'll get some, you know, LFP cathode active material back made using our purified phosphoric acid, and eventually maybe end up in some battery cells. So that, you know, that's a big milestone for us. It's basically, it establishes everything that we wanted to do, but on a small scale, from mine to phosphate concentrate to purified phosphoric acid to LFP cathode active material to hopefully even, you know, being in a battery cell that can be tested. I mean, wow, right? That's the whole value chain that we will have been a part of and been able to establish, you know, and hopefully, you know, under a year and a half to 2 years of existence of this company. And it also starts to get us homologated to some of these processes to make, you know, LFP CAM. So that's a big one for our company. And then we hope to, you know, begin drilling again, but in a major way at Bégin-La-Marche, you know, sometime hopefully in the winter or early 2024. Again, it was, you know, it's dependent on what's going on in Quebec with these forest fires, but hopefully that situation is now under control. And we hope to be able to, you know, advance, you know, Bégin-La-Marche to a 43-101 into a PEA as well. And we hope to start, you know, scoping out what a pre-feasibility study might look like at Lac La Laudière.
Outstanding. There's two questions too that these are always tough too, because some you can't speak to. I'll ask them anyways. Quebec's well known for having a great, you know, outlook for the battery energy metals, for just the electrification of the future in general. I'm sure you must be in constant talk not only with other partners in the region, but they must be, you know, the Quebec government must be quite happy with the pace at which you're going to, because your success is their success to some degree as well. And also, without getting too far ahead of myself, you know, I imagine you're getting closer to the downstream suppliers, to talking to some of the bigger plants that who would be a buyer of this. You know, of course, that's the news everyone wants to hear, but we must be getting a little bit closer to that kind of conversation at the speed of what you're going.
Yeah, so, you know, obviously we have great conversations, great relationship with the Quebec government and all the institutionals inside of the, you know, the Quebec Inc. structure. You know, it's great. They finally acknowledge that, you know, they have a real competitive advantage in Quebec in this, you know, igneous and orthosite, ultra pure phosphate rock. And we see a lot of the deputies and politicians and and others involved in the financial community really starting to talk about, igneous phosphate in Quebec and the potential of it. So that's been a lot of hard work to kind of educate on that. First Phosphate's on the top of everyone's mind and everyone's list. So we're happy about that. Everything's advancing very well with the Quebec government. We are a publicly traded company, but if you look in our last update, our corporate update, we did speak that we're under NDA with various levels of the supply chain, starting from mine all the way to the end users of the battery. So yeah, there are discussions going on everywhere. I'll just point you to one really interesting piece of news recently. The House and Ways Committee of the United States has been poking back at this Ford CATL relationship. And they just came out today with something really interesting, saying that they want Ford to start sourcing locally. They want there are local suppliers of cathode active material, of all the materials and all the battery required technologies in North America. They'd like them to start sourcing locally in North America. And I thought that was very positive. That the U.S. government and hopefully the Canadian government get really behind the fact that there's a lot of great companies in North America with whom the downstream providers can work with. First Phosphate obviously is one of them. I believe we're the only real source of new phosphate to be able to come online in North America to be able to make LFP based electrification happen. So that's very positive for us. And I think it's very positive, not only for us, but for all the companies in our space, especially all the juniors that are working really hard every day to make it happen, to get some support from government, and especially from the downstream, right, to source here locally in North America, because we can do it. I tell everybody, we created the automobile in North America. We created LFP cathode active material in North America. There's no reason we can't create more of it. There's no reason we can't create the raw materials to do it. I mean, we got it. It's just a matter of us supporting each other. And sure, we can work, transatlantically and trans-Pacifically too, and to a certain degree. But we do need to shore up what we have here at home, and we do need to create local supply chains. So, and we do need to be friendly. We need to be supportive, and it's got to be sort of community-based business. And we're all for that. That's the complete mantra of First Phosphate since we started, and that's why we're able to see this whole supply chain start from mine all the way to creation of LFP cathode active material in the actual electric vehicles, because we have a community-based business mindset.
And I saw your post and your comments when you talked about that online, and it is so important that there's obviously we live in a very political climate, and if you've got a company, say a European company like Volvo or CATL, which is Chinese owned, people start to say, well, why can't you use Canadian or American companies? If you say, well, those deals are in place, but the people feeding the system, yes, they have to be local. That's a huge opportunity. That's where especially Canada can step in very robustly to meet those demands, and especially a company that right from the start has that vision, has that plan, and is hitting expectations. It not only looks good politically for those in charge, it shows that you're engaging your own citizens, the people here that have created the technology and have a lot of experience in it. It makes the most economic sense, environmental sense, and if it helps politically as well, that can't be a bad thing.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing for us to start getting off our phones and getting to do some real work in North America, right?
Yeah,
we've been a service-based economy. That's great, but we gotta work hard. We got to build our technology. We got to build our capacities. We got to get our youth back to work. We got to establish pride in work. That's what built America. That's the America that I know. That's the America that my parents made the journey to this continent for, and it's the America that I support, and I've been supporting ever since I was 10 years old and I had my first paper routes. I just that's the way I was built, and I hate to see that America fall by the wayside, and I just love to rebuild industrial America again. All of North America, all of the Western world, and the whole world in a sense too. We're all one big community. We should be working hard towards some common goals, to save this little precious planet that we have. At the end of the day, right? The politics, the economics, and everything else. It really is all of us in the end, right?
Yes.
Regardless of borders. So, we have to put that forward again. The human aspects of being together and creating value for our planet, really.
Well, John, it's wonderful to catch up with you. We're always so thrilled whenever it's a project that is hitting the milestones at such a rapid pace. We love the vertically integrated business models. We let our subscribers know that we're long-term holders on businesses like this. So, whenever the stock is a little bit lower, great, we can buy more. And, because we see the long-term vision, we know that, the company is right on track to what they said they're gonna do. And, we're thrilled to see what comes in the next months ahead, but also the next, year ahead as well, because, like I said, you've done amazing things so far, and we're really excited to see where this goes from here.
Yeah, and thanks, Andrew. That's what we really need. We really need the shareholders to, buy into a project and look at management. So long as management is communicating properly and is performing, meeting milestones, those companies need to be supported.
I know a lot of venture, like funds, when they commit to a company that's a business that they like to do, they may not look at it until a year later. Like, they're not watching it every day. Where's the news? Where's the news? They look at their investment. They say, did you meet all the milestones? Great. We're moving ahead for the next year. Part of the problem we have in our culture today is it's like every week someone needs to see what's the news this week. What's this week? If you're thinking it takes years to build a business. The scorecard needs to be, let's look at what they're doing. Have they met everything? Okay, great, move on. I think putting people's expectations into a bit, what you guys have, tends to be a situation that hits with people when they look at the stock market. They think things have to happen in the first quarter, third quarter, fifth, whatever it happens to be. And that can be a milestone to see, are they hitting all the things that said they're going to do? But as far as the stock price, along that curve of building out those milestones, stocks vary. And I think if your long-term view is you want to own a company that's building a whole business vertically integrated, that's a long process. And if you look at it from that point of view, you're a business investor rather than just a trader or looking for an opportunity to make some money.
That's a track that we're on here. I'm very proud with our team and the work that we've done. And, really, encourage shareholders to reach out to us, even those who are not shareholders, reach out if you have any questions. We're always here to answer. We're very interactive team, and that's the way I want to keep it.
Absolutely. Well, we love the transparency, and thanks so much, John. I know you've got a busy day ahead of you. We really appreciate you catching us up, and congratulations to the PA, all the work you've done so far. And hey, we're looking forward to seeing what's next.
Thank you for your support, Andrew. Always well appreciated.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.